I think this is a good note for everybody out there.
He says that I don't pull well on TikTok, so
He doesn't. It's just a fact.
Me.
It just doesn't pull well. It's called social media for a reason, and it's not selfish media.
I just gotta clear something up. You weren't the 12th man on the field.
Right.
There is no easy way to get anything ever.
This is Mornings with Matt, the Deering Acting Studio podcast, where we discuss the connection between life and acting. Good morning, everybody. What is going down? We are going to get started here. Matt will join us in just 1 second. Let me go and turn down the soundtrack. Wonderful. All right. Patience is a virtue, everyone. Isn't that right? Today, our topic is, are you at your best? Love this topic. It's going to get real deep today. We will start with our daily devotional, which is Ecclesiastes 5:3. For the dream comes through much effort, and the voice of a fool through many words. I'll read that again. For the dream comes through much effort, and the voice of a fool through many words. That's deep, yo. So deep. For the dream comes through much effort. So your dream requires a lot of effort. And we all have a dream. We all have goals. We all have places we want to be, right? So that's what he's talking about. For the dream comes through much effort. And then the second part is, and the voice of a fool through many words. So what does that mean, right? The voice of a fool through many words. Well, to me, that means like, who are you getting your advice from? Who are you surrounding yourself with, right? And that's a big part of what we're talking about today with Are You at Your Best is, who are you around, right? Are you hanging out with people that bring you down? Or people that question you and give you tough love and help you rise up, right? And that's the big difference here. So as we get into this topic today, that's going to be a big part of it. And I can tell you, for me, there's going to be a lot of self-reflection that I'm really excited about, because this is something that I've struggled through since the very beginning of when I started here, made leaps and bounds, and still haven't quite let this concept sink in all the way, because it's very deep. So that's what we're going to get into today, is just this idea of, are you at your best, and what does that even mean? I used to say, well, I did my best. I did my best, though, like whenever there was a problem. Well, I did my best. And Matt hated it, and he would get so mad at me. He would go, no, you didn't. And then I would get mad on the other side, because I'd be like, well, yeah, I did. Like, I did everything I possibly could have. I ran and I did what I knew and tried to fix the problems as they came along. And it's like, no. Like, being at your best is not only doing the right things in the moment, it's also being in the right headspace, right? So we're going to get into that today. Our topic is, are you at your best? And we're going to go through, why are you at your best? What makes you your best? How do we keep staying at our best? Because that is not simple. So we are going to go to this commercial break first. And when we come back, we will hit this next section.
I chose Deering because I feel like I can take everything that I've learned in acting class and apply it to the real world, to business, to interviews, and just meeting everyday people, learning how to listen better, and it's been an amazing experience so far.
I tried to explain.
I don't want you to think about getting through the monologue.
Young people.
Yes.
Let's go!
Because my job isn't to work the monologue. My job is to work on you.
It's not about how many classes are on the resume. It's about your work ethic and persistence.
Who's further along than they were when they walked in the ring? Okay, circle up, please. Your lives will all be changed and you'll grow if you really learn to listen in this way.
Will you help me kill her? You have to react to that from his point of view as honestly as possible.
Punch him in the face. No, you don't know nothing. Come on.
As soon as you've solved the puzzle, the scene's over.
Welcome back, everybody. All right, we're going to hit this next section. Are you at your best? And where better to start than with these two awesome quotes? This first one is from Jim Rohn. He's a really, really good motivational speaker. Wrote a couple of books I know that Matt's read. So he says, for every disciplined effort, there is a multiple reward. And I'll repeat that. For every disciplined effort, there is a multiple reward. So what's he saying there? I mean, it's pretty straightforward, black and white. When you have discipline, a large amount of discipline and self-discipline, and that's the hardest discipline in my opinion, because you're not relying on other people to tell you what your problems are. You're learning them yourself. You're questioning yourself. Why was I feeling this way in the moment, right? And that's something that I did not do for the longest time. I would let Matt or Brian be an enemy to me and tell me what was wrong instead of just really looking and being like, oh, yeah, I'm kind of being a jerk right now. Like, I am doing that thing, and I just didn't want to say it. And here's why, guys. I had a headache this morning. I woke up late. Like, so many things where we can just take accountability. And that's, I'm blessed to be on this team because the amount of times that Brian and Matt have forgiven me for something that I've done, I can't count anymore. And I can tell you, I love you guys and you guys love me. So I'm just going to say it. Like, I am a brat sometimes, total brat. And the reason for that sometimes is I'll lie to myself. So I'll tell myself I'm doing my best work, or I got so much done today, or wow, I covered your butt, Brian, because I sent out these emails. Well, we're a team at the end of the day, so why didn't the emails get sent out? That's on me. Whether I sent them or not, why didn't they get sent out in the first place, right? And there's so much that we can take accountability for, and it's empowering. And that's the one thing is I always thought that was a sign of weakness, so I wanted to stay away from that. And that leads us into our second quote by Mr. Gary Vee. Love this guy. He is really one of those examples that Matt talks about where he's eating his Wheaties and everybody looks and they go, I want to be like him, right? And he says, I'm grinding while you're sleeping. That's it. That's the quote. I'm grinding while you're sleeping. And it's so profound because, you know, you go back to what is your definition of the grind, right? And so for me personally, that's changed over time, right? I've learned from Brian being back from the hospital and all of that honestly, like, we covered, but I didn't do my best work while Brian was there. And that's something that's hard to accept, right? Because I did so many things that I wasn't comfortable with, but then I was satisfied. And that's the difference, is like I wasn't seeking the growth in those areas. I was just plugging the hole instead of really going, okay, how do I become the best teacher right now? How do I become the best writer? How do I become the best communications expert through our email, right? How do I compose myself on a phone call when somebody's calling the studio and that's their first impression? There's all these questions that when I answered honestly, I was like, well, you know, not great. That's something I should work on. Not give myself a cookie for, right? And that's the difference is me personally, I would give myself credit for things that honestly I was led to do them. I told Matt I never wanted to teach. When Brian went down, I had to teach, right? I could take credit for stepping in as a teacher, but not really. I mean, I kind of got thrown in the boat by Matt. And then I fell in love with it. I had so much fun teaching for the last 3 months, on and off, virtually, in person, whatever. But it wasn't my choice. So I can't take credit for that because that's not fair. I can take credit for saying yes, but saying yes and then not growing from it, that is a point of weakness. And so that's something that, again, I've just done this self-reflection and with the help of Matt and Brian, realized some of these things. For those of you that don't know, which I'm sure most of you do that watch this show, my car was taken last week. And they found it on Friday. I got to see it on Saturday. It's totaled. It's done, right? And that car meant so much to me. And I didn't realize just how much it detoured me last week. But it did, man. Like, I got nothing done during last week. Barely anything. Maybe 1 or 2 videos. You guys know because you see our social, right? When I'm on my A game, we got posts, we got reminders, we got advertisements, right? And none of that happened during a week off. Why? Because I was so sad. And I was telling Brian about this. It just felt like no matter which way I went about it, I was going to take a step backwards. So what I mean by that is I worked so hard for 1.5 years, 2 years to save up for that car, and that car was the first thing I ever bought with my own money, so it meant a lot to me, right? Having that taken away, feeling violated, was hard. And then it felt like a reset of my goals where all of a sudden I was going to have the same goal that I had 2 years ago, which was to save up for a really nice car that I felt good about. Because I realized I don't have the money to buy the car I just had. In fact, I got a heck of a deal from Matt where I was driving around a car that I couldn't afford because he cut me a deal on it, right? And so you look back at all these things, and I wanted to just go into that negative place, and I lived there last week going through all the what ifs and hoping that I left my car here at the studio, hoping that if they found it, it was in full pieces. And I realized that's nobody can take away the skills that I learned. And Matt said that, and my dad said that, and my dad says it's just a car, it's not a big deal. And for whatever reason, I couldn't hear them. You know, I didn't let it sink in when they were giving me that truth because it hurt so bad. And I think that's where we get caught a lot, is we get caught in things that hurt. And when we're hurt, it's hard to listen and it's hard to get the tough love. And that's definitely where I was at this last week. So I wanted to share that because this is one of those moments that is strong to teach upon. And I would hope that if that ever happened to me again, I would react differently than I did because I let the person that stole my car win. And I mean that. I let the person that stole my car win. I got there. It was wrecked. I was wrecked because it was wrecked. I couldn't even hold the key that they had held. I had to bring my own key. My dad drove it out, and I just felt weak. And Matt was saying I should have just gotten in and looked the car in the face and said, "Thank you. I love you. Like you showed me a lot of things, and I will be there in 2 years in a car just as nice or nicer than you, car." And it's silly. It's silly. Why? Because it's a material possession. Like, I'm so blessed to be where I am today. And I think we can all agree on that. I don't care what walk of life you're in, whether you have kids or don't, whether you feel like you're all the way there with your acting or not, whether you're fulfilled at work or not. I think we all have things to be blessed about, to be excited about. Because we all have something that was given to us by God that is stronger than any material possession you would ever have. And that's sort of what I've come to. And I got really excited to be here this morning and just kind of kick it back into the gear. Not think about the car anymore. Not think about what happened this weekend. Not think about anything except for what can I do today to get closer to my best, right? And I came in 10 minutes early. I was really excited. My eyes were honestly droopy because it's been a long time since I got up and was excited in the morning. So my eyes aren't used to it. I had to use eye drops because they were so dry. But on the other end of it, I feel so great. Was looking forward to doing this episode with Matt. Well, Matt had to take a really important phone call before the show. He came in, he flagged me down. He said, "Go." And I was like, "Oh, you sure?" And he told me before, he was like, "You need to be ready for anything to happen. And this is not a test." But it's interesting because I failed in the beginning. I panicked a little. I was like, this is mornings with Matt, not mornings with Joey. I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I can carry the show. How am I supposed to help these people? You know? And those are the type of things we tell ourselves. And it feels so good to be able to talk about the pain that I went through this last week and talk about the mistakes that I made in hope that you run into a similar situation and you remember what was said and maybe that helps you to not make some of the mistakes I made. And that's really the point of the show. That's what we get up for. And it's easy to lose sight of that. It's easy to lose sight of how many people we're affecting. But I'm really proud to be a part of this team. I'm really proud to be able to have this platform to talk about the mistakes I've made, and I made a lot of them. And I'm so thankful to Brian and Matt for getting me through a lot of this stuff, a lot of this childhood, like, trauma and bad habits. Like, I'm a totally different person than I was 2 years ago when I walked in this door. And that's really what I want everybody to look at going home, is this idea of what is your best and why, and who's around you, who's pushing you. And what does it mean to be at your best? Because you don't want to be at your best 24/7. Because if you call something your best and then you just shoot for that every single day, eventually that's not your best anymore because we grow. What I do today 2 years ago would have been way more than my best. So if I call what I did today my best, maybe it would have been 2 years ago, But it's not now. There's so much more that I could be doing with what I've learned, right? And that's what I kind of want you to take away with, is just ask yourself some of these questions, some of these self-reflection questions. It's not about making yourself feel bad. It's about making yourself feel empowered, knowing that, hey, I got this. I can do whatever I set my mind to. And that's the thing, I think it's oversaid. But it takes an extreme amount of work, and it is true that we can do whatever we set our mind to. We've seen it time and time again with different stars, with different people on high platforms. They grinded. They put their head down and they did whatever they could. So why do you deserve to be successful? What are you doing? What does it mean to be at your best? And are you doing that thing? Are you working towards your best or not? And then write out what your best feels like, and don't settle for less. So that's your homework today that Matt wrote down, is write out what your best feels like, and then don't settle for less, and reflect on that every night, every morning, every time you go down for a nap. Remember that. Set your mind on that. And ideally, that helps you grow. That's that next step for you. That's what I got for you guys today. I'm so thankful to be on the mic this morning. Thankful to everybody who tuned in. So take that homework. Write down what your best feels like, and don't settle for less. Thank you so much for listening. God bless. Thanks for listening to Mornings with Matt. Please like, subscribe, and follow us at Deering Acting Studio to keep up with the latest content. For more information on classes, private lessons, or professional development coaching, visit www.deeringstudio.com. Have a Deering day, everyone.
Have a chippy day, everyone. Rough.